This is Cult Film Face-Off.
Hello and welcome to episode 37 of Cult Film Face-Off. My name is Chuck Roggers. With me as usual is Nick Leonard.
Good day, sir.
This episode is all about Tobe Hooper, the director of one of the most iconic horror films of all time, who sadly passed away earlier this year. For better or for worse, and I have to say, in terms of honouring the man's memory, it's probably going to be for worse. We're looking at the two films that he made with Cannon in the 1980s. We're going to be looking at Lifeforce from 1985 and Invaders from Mars from 1986. But we'll start off, of course, with Lifeforce. Following a close encounter aboard a spacecraft attached to Halley's Comet, a trio of malevolent space vampires descends upon London to drain the life force from every human being on the planet. Lifeforce.
From the director of Poltergeist and the writer of Alien comes a terrifying new film.
I'm getting a very small radar cross-section.
150 miles long.
EGR's confirmed.
Tell them we have an artificial object out here.
In the tail of Halley's Comet, there's something wrong. Something ancient. Something evil.
Jesus. Houston, we have a problem.
Something's happening to me.
Something hungry that's brought to Earth.
She's destroyed worlds.
That girl was no girl. She was totally alien to this planet and our life form, and totally dangerous.
Come, be with me.
Life Force. The terror has just begun.
Okay, Lifeforce. I'd never seen this film. I was only sort of tangentially aware of it. Have you seen it before?
I had seen it before. I own it.
When did you see it?
I own it. I went through a stage of in my teens when I first saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre of funnily, we talked about in the last episode about you being a bit of a George A. Romero completist.
Yeah.
And I did that on the Tobe Hooper side of things. So I've seen Lifeforce, bought Lifeforce, Eaten Alive, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, yeah. So, yeah, I own Lifeforce. So my memory of Lifeforce was, fucking hell, what a mess.
Okay. When did you last watch it then, recently?
No.
Years ago.
I bought it, watched it once, and it's sat on the shelf ever since.
Did it hold up? I mean, is it better than you remember it?
Better than I remember it? I mean, what you remember from this film is a couple of things, and I know stuck in my head. There's things you don't forget. This is like 5 different films smashed together, and I felt that this time watching it as well. And Matilda May's breasts.
That's what I was going to say, but you said 2 things stuck out.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you were talking about.
I mean, they get so much screen time, and quite rightly so.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this film is completely convoluted. But that's not to say that it's not endearing at times. I'm a big sucker for a London location which is being like overrun by like infected zombies. I wish it just had more self-knowing in it. I wish it was a bit more, because it takes itself very seriously.
Well, I mean, Tobe Hooper said when he got given that budget, he said, "I'm going to make a Hammer horror film." And to be fair, I mean, it has the air of one of the lesser Hammer horror films. So I think that he achieved what he was trying to do.
I bet he didn't say that line to the investors of the film.
I'm going to make.
I'm going to make a Hammer horror film in 1985.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a £24.5 million budget.
I think that was the biggest budget that Cannon has ever.
Unbelievable. I mean, the 3 films that they're the biggest budget for was this, Master of the Universe, and Superman 4.
Yeah.
I mean, this has got to be top of that pole, right?
I think so, yeah, because I remember Superman 4 had its budget cut like in the last minute, and it peanuts. I think this might be. I might be wrong, but I think this was the biggest film they made. I think
it doesn't surprise me. I mean, there is money on screen to a certain, because it is ambitious. It's an ambitious project, and that's what I do warm to it. The fact that it's like they threw so much shit at the wall. Yeah. They wanted something to stick. I mean, they must have sat down and go, right, we've got the writer from Alien, we've got the director of Poltergeist, and we've got a visual effects guy from Star Wars. Yeah. We're going to make something really big.
Yeah.
They didn't make something.
They made something incredibly confused. But I agree with you. There is something very endearing about it. First off, though, terrible title. Lifeforce is a fucking shit nondescript title that I've heard through, and I'm just like, I'm not even going to pay. That's such a nondescript title. I'm not even going to pay attention to it. And the cover, the poster, is so lousy.
But have you seen the Japanese poster?
No, I bet it's great though.
It's on my Facebook.
I'll have a look. I bet that's...
You can see who runs that channel out of these two.
Okay, well, so I mean, I'm happy that they had.
Yeah, they got a great poster. Japanese poster is really good. Yeah, the UK and the US poster is dull. It doesn't say. I mean, yeah, it's fucking dull. I mean, the end of the world has come about by naked space vampires hitching a ride on the ass of Halley's Comet. None of that's conveyed in the poster.
It's a picture of the globe with a spaceship at the top. I've seen that picture, that image, hundreds of times throughout my childhood. You see it. I'm not going to rent that. Why on earth would I rent a film called Lifeforce with a fucking picture? I mean, the reason that they did it is because Golan and Globus of Canon, obviously, they wanted to differentiate this from the fucking cheap, shitty schlock they were making. And the book that it's based on is called The Space Vampires.
Why didn't you film that?
Well, I mean, and put the woman with the...
Oh, yeah.
Put the gorgeous woman on the front. I mean, they
and call it Space Vampires.
They wanted to have it... They wanted to give it an air of class.
Yeah, God,
and this is the problem with the whole film, because I think Tobe Hooper is seduced. So many film directors are seduced by the entire idea of theatrically trained British actors standing in a room and having a conversation, even when it's irrelevant, even when it's other stuff that's so fascinating is meant to be going on elsewhere. People just standing around and having conversations in rooms. That is what this film's about. That's one of the I can't quite believe how much this film costs, because there aren't that many complicated setups. There are a couple of big scenes in the London streets and stuff, but by and large, however, I mean, it went like 4 weeks behind schedule and it was massively bloated. I mean, where did the money go? It's people standing in rooms having conversations.
Patrick Stewart has got an absolutely outrageous rider.
Right. I mean,
I don't special effects. I mean, you know, you've got to look at the. I mean, it obviously went into the special effects, right? I mean, part of that budget's gone into special effects.
There isn't that
There's a lot of blue swirly lights going on,
right.
And you've got like quite a few models that are quite well done. I mean, I'll come on to those a bit later on in terms of where my lookalikes are, because there's a couple of cracking cadaver lookalikes.
Okay.
But there's quite a few animatronics, people kind of, you know, that cost money, and there's quite a lot of different scenes with different animatronics and people kind of being infected, lighting up and crumbling.
The animatronics were really inconsistent. The first few that you saw, they were the shots lingered on them, and you were just like, you should be cutting around it rather than just kind of putting this on screen. And
I think we've also got to kind of pay grace to the fact it's 1985.
I agree, but I think the later scene, there's one scene where a woman's struggling and she's in a harness, and I was like,
she's lying on the table. It's one of the best ones.
That looks amazing. And the first lot that you see, I was like, they should be cutting. They should be a bit more tactful editing, because they kind of you're just looking at this animatronic thinking, I
like the fact that one of the early scenes when they're coming up to one of the infected, and you're like, you know, what state of the art, you know, obviously you'd think, fucking hell, you want to put loads of layers on, make sure you're in a suit that can't. He literally goes in a suit and he's just got his face protected. The whole of his body's like got nothing on it. He's just literally got the cheapest looking protection suit. I mean, it's mostly shot in the UK, right? And in studios. There's a lot of, you know, on location kind of the rolling hills of the UK, and obviously in London. It's quite dark and moody at times. I mean, the actors are taking it very seriously.
Well, I mean, that's what they're paid for. That's why I think it seems like Tobe Hooper's so seduced by those actors on screen. I think they're on screen way too much. And this is a mystery. They're trying to uncover a mystery, and the whole time I'm thinking, the mystery is happening elsewhere. This woman and these other aliens have come down. Where are they for the entirety of the film while you're having conversations about them? I kept thinking about Superman 2, when essentially 3 aliens come down, and it's a vaguely similar setup. That film expertly cross-cuts between this is just you don't cross-cut. I was like, where is it? The aliens appear at the beginning and then they appear at the end. The whole time they're supposed to be causing carnage, they're barely in the film. It's not standing around and fucking having conversations in dark rooms.
I mean, if you are going to basically have a plan of being a space vampire, to come down to planet Earth and basically cause a mass outbreak of being space vampires and take over people's life forces, would you have your 3 guys all land in the UK and stay in the UK? I'm surely that's not a great plan. Surely you would go, let's ping off to 3 different continents and start harvesting humans rather than, let's all stay on this really small little island in Europe.
To be perfectly honest, I thought the aliens can't have been that smart, because, you know, the problem I had is that in this film they say a lot and then they don't show it. There's lots of conversations about there's one scene.
The other two don't get any screen time for obvious reasons.
Obviously, yeah. But there's literally a scene where Frank Finlay calls the main characters in the film and describes an action scene. This happened, then this happened. I was like, whoa, why are we seeing that? It's a guy in a room on a phone. And then Frank Finlay comes back at the end, towards the end. He's in the climax. And it describes how they kill these vampires for good. And then 5 seconds later, it's revealed that he's one of them.
Yeah.
That is not planning ahead, is it? This is not the smartest species of alien in the world. There's, this say you kill us, by the way, stick a stake in my arm.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's sticking to like the original, like the vampire kind of folk of, you know, like Dracula came over on a boat, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the original text, and then he had one human relationship, which is kind of the female has the one human relationship with that. He's a bad actor, that American dude.
No, what's Steve Railsback?
Come on.
I don't think he. The problem is, I don't think he's a leading man. He reminded me of like Treat Williams or somebody. He does a lot with not very much. I found him compelling. He would make a great. If he was second fiddle, I think he would have had a better career. He's not leading man.
He had too much screen time.
He did. He's one of those people that would make a great sort of second tier villain more than anything else. I thought he's really good, but he's not a hero. You can't have any kind of sort of. You can't root for that guy at all.
No. The model for the alien ship looked like an artichoke.
It did. That's why the video book's always annoying. So I was like, there's an earth and there's an artichoke.
I don't understand like what meeting you have where you go, we've got like blood-sucking space vampires. Yeah. Well, obviously they're going to have a badass ship.
Yeah. An artichoke. I mean, I think the problem with this film is it has no rudder. There's no sense of urgency whatsoever. It is a mystery with these people trying to find out what's going on while essentially action is happening elsewhere. When they turn up at the end and they've essentially carried out their evil plan for the most part, you know, why weren't we watching this unfold instead of watching people standing in rooms the whole time? It should have been cross-cutting between plots, and it doesn't. It stays with one thread, and it should have been a bit more. It feels as if the whole film takes place over a matter of weeks. There's no like, fuck, this is happening. We need to do something about it.
There's no real sense of emergency or immediacy.
Nothing.
In what's happening.
No,
they're kind of bungling about, going, making these stark conclusions they're going to basically within 2 hours they're going to have another life force, and also what they can do is they can jump into other humans as well, which is one of the best scenes. Is when they go to the asylum for the criminally insane, and there is a great moment when Captain Picard declares his love for Colonel Tom Carlson. That's definitely one of the best scenes. And the orderly, did you recognise the orderly Lansom from anywhere?
Vaguely, but
well, I did, and I was doing my head in. I was like, where the hell's he from? And he gets really treated like shit by everybody, and he kind of slopes off. And I was like, he's fucking Dirty Den's cellmate in EastEnders.
Oh my god! Well, that is a deep cut. How many people know what we're talking about? That is a deep cut. Dirty Den's cellmate from EastEnders. Has he done anything else more significant than that?
Flash Gordon.
Oh right, okay. That's
he was one of Brian Bless's wingmen. John Hallam.
John Hallam, fair play.
Yeah, and then he had to share a cell with Nick Cotton. I was well into EastEnders when I was about 11.
Oh, Nick Cotton, Dirty Den is Nick Cotton.
They were both. There was a. I really apologise for listeners who are not based in the UK and don't have
EastEnders shit.
Listening to EastEnders.
Hold on a minute, just quickly. Nick Cotton and Dirty Den shared a cellmate.
No, basically, okay. So when Dirty Den got incarcerated, he got befriended by this guy called Barnsey. Right. Who is John Hallam, which is Lansom from Lifeforce. And from what I remember is that he kind of took Dirty Den under his wing so he didn't get attacked by the other prisoners. He left the prison, then Nick Cotton went into the same prison, and obviously they brought him back, and he ended up fucking beating up Nick Cotton and had to get moved to another cell.
Okay.
He was like a proper old man.
How did you remember all that?
EastEnders is my specialist subject. Years 88 to 90. Kill me.
One thing I did think about the opening is that there's one of the flattest jump scares I've ever seen in a movie.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. But the jump is synonymous with a cut. So you're looking at something and then And you're like, that, you can't do that. I mean, it's not even jumping out of the same frame. You can't just cut to something and go... I was like, if this film's like this, I am going to absolutely hate it. To be fair, that is the only... That looks like something that was possibly done in post-production to try and scare her out.
I mean, it just befuddles me because Tobe Hooper is responsible for one of the best kind of jump scares ever in cinema in Texas Chainsaw Massacre when Leatherface comes out from behind and then just cracks him with the hammer.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm inclined to believe it was something that was hastily added. I mean, for them to just cut to it that absurdly, I thought that must have been done in post production. But
I mean, when you're saying you didn't see where the money went in this, I mean, there's some quite, some sort of kind of special effects, some animatronics, some creatures that feature. I mean, there's a scene towards the end where literally she turns into this kind of winged vampire, which literally only has about a couple of seconds of screen time. Yeah. But you know that took a fuckload of time to create.
Apparently there are several cuts of this film in existence. I don't know how many of them are commercially available.
Cut, which is 15 minutes longer than the theatrical cut.
I bet no cut of this film is short enough. I think this is a very...
It's long. It was long when I first watched it. It was long when I watched it again. And I watched this in kind of... I think it is the perfect way to watch it. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, couldn't get back to sleep, went downstairs and I watched Lifeforce.
That's the way to watch. I mean, I wish I watched this at 4 o'clock in the morning in a sort of haze.
Well, I watched it in a haze. I was just like, I know this is going to be fucking odd and off and complete nonsense. So it was the perfect way to watch it. So let's get down to brass tacks. I've got some lookalikes.
I don't, unfortunately.
They're infected lookalikes. So one of the first guys that succumbs to becoming like an infected, basically zombie, would be handy if play was called off in Wimbledon and it started raining. Cliff Richard.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I think that's okay. Yeah, that sounds alright.
Second, I mean, all right. No, I mean he's completely on the money. It's Cliff Richard. Okay. It's Cliff Richard. The second one is it's a female infected on the streets of London in the last 20 minutes of the film, wearing a maroon Adidas tracksuit, and Darlene Connor from Roseanne.
Wow, okay, I can't wait to find that. So, thanks for the description. I'm going to have to dig her out from. Is it
last 3 minutes of the film?
Okay, and
there's a sequence where the other main character, the English actor, who looks a lot like a guy who played Doctor Who in the 80s.
You've got Doctor Who. No, it wasn't him. No.
When he's like, it's literally he's on his mission to get towards the church.
I remember the bit. Yeah, so she's
it cuts away when he's in the car, and she's like, yeah, Darlene Connor.
Okay.
Rosa.
Cool.
You got any?
No, I didn't see any, unfortunately. No. It's certainly a watchable film if you're in a very undemanding mood, but it is too damn long-winded and there's not enough action in it. I mean, legend has it that Canon Films, they pick scripts to produce effectively at random. I don't know how true that is, but there's a lot of stuff about that in that documentary, Electric.
Great documentary.
Very enjoyable. So, I mean, this feels like 3 scripts were picked and they were kind of
smashed together. This feels like 5 films smashed together.
I mean, it is
literally just got bits of films and put them all together.
As it goes on, it gets madder and madder. There's suddenly the mention of the insane asylum, like you said, and then Steve Railsback can suddenly read people's minds, and you're like, where the fuck is it? This film's just, there's a child killer and they're mentally saying, like, what's going on?
It's fucking madder than a bag of snakes, which is what makes it endearing.
It is endearing.
And you have got some really good British character actors in there. You've got Sir Perry Heseltine. I mean, I got a lot of enjoyment out of Sir Perry Heseltine. He's basically like an eccentric English actor. I recognise him immediately because he played Deltoid in Clockwork Orange. Yes, Alex. And he just kind of has this weird, every reaction shot when he looks at people turning infected and everything, he's just got this like Popeye. It seems like he's got one fake eye or something, but I got a lot of enjoyment out of just watching him until he knocked off. Yeah. He's a great screen presence. He's very funny.
So he has like one eye closed, and he's
just got this. He's just OTTing every reaction shot, and it's brilliant.
Did you have a single favourite scene? Mine's more of a moment than a scene.
Did I? It's difficult because I mean. There was a scene that I completely had forgotten. It's not my favourite scene. I think everything in the mental asylum is good. I like the mental asylum as a part of the film. The mental asylum I think works really well. Patrick Stewart precursoring him being Magneto and later life being in a wheelchair and
Professor X.
Professor X.
Magneto's.
Please don't tar and feather me, fans of that universe. Yeah, a scene that I found really funny is basically like this woman seducing like this farmer and the drive that they have, and her trying to be this.
Oh, that's right, lifting her skirt up.
It's terrible.
It is bad.
It's like proper Confessions of a
Farmer.
My
favourite, it's not a scene, it's a moment, but when the naked woman, the alien, is escaping the facility.
As the guards chat to each other.
No, it's the guards trying to sort of lure her so they can capture her, and the lead security guard is trying to entice her with what looks like a bit of bread or a cracker. I was like, imagine if that worked. Just whoa, a bit of cracker.
It's not a parrot.
I know, but it looks like a hunk of bread.
No, it rings a bell, but he has something innocuous in his hand.
You're like, that's not fucking. That wouldn't work on anything, any species, unless it was a parrot.
So, Lifeforce for me, it's ambitious. It's so ambitious, but it's a complete mess. But it's not without merit. I mean, if it was 90 minutes, it'd be a lot more palatable. Yeah, it's hard to recommend at such length. But it's not without it being enjoyable.
I can understand.
I mean, I will say this: I enjoyed this way more than the next film we're about to talk about.
Oh, spoiler alert!
Can we not do that?
Well, we can do, but I suppose anybody who'd want, if there are any people listening to see who wins, they're just like, all right, I'm out of here. I won't reveal which film I thought was better, but yeah, I did understand.
But we're going to talk about two films, aren't we? Oh, maybe that's too. Okay, let's take that out.
It's fine.
Take that out.
I did find it endearing. It's you don't see films like that every day. I mean,
you don't think
really
films like this don't. I mean, it inhabits, I think, its own kind of space to a certain degree.
Yeah, it's
a £25 million film. Which kind of looks like 5 films mashed together, which has a chick walking around for most of it naked. I mean, it does stick in your mind, this film.
Yeah, and it does look nice. Alan Hume is the cinematographer. He worked on the Bond films. He did Return of the Jedi, and he does look like a classy production, even when it's
just a mess. I mean, there is talented people working on this, and you can see that. It's just like fucking. I just wish it was a little bit more self-knowing
and a little bit shorter, obviously. Yeah, it's all over the place. It's not. I just wish there was a bit more drama. There's a lack of drama, but yeah, I mean, an interesting folly for sure.
Yeah, okay, I would not disagree with that.
Okay, well, let's move on to our second film, which is Invaders from Mars from 1986. After witnessing what appears to be a flying saucer landing in his back garden one night, young David Gardner suspects that his parents have been assimilated by alien life forms and enlists the help of his school's nurse to help uncover the truth. Invaders from Mars.
David Gardner just woke up to a nightmare in his own backyard. But no one will listen.
We landed right back there, right behind the hill.
No one will believe.
I told you, he needs psychiatric help.
And soon, no one will be left.
Dad? Are you okay, Dad?
Fine.
Because something strange is happening to the people of Willow Creek.
Everything's fine now.
And David Gardner is about to find out why.
David! I'm gonna find my mom and dad! I'm back here! No!
David Gardner?
Canon Films presents Tobe Hooper's Invaders from Mars. There's no place on Earth to hide.
Okay, so Invaders of Mars, I had not. I'm sure I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it. What about you?
I'd never seen it. Vague. I mean, because it's a remake, so I don't know whether I'd heard of the 1953 film or this.
Yeah. So how did it go down?
I mean, like a heavy sack of shit.
Yeah.
The opening sequence, he's a small child. Looking out of his bedroom window at a flying piece of fecal matter. I mean, the reaction shot of the boy is actually one of the best things in this film. It really genuinely is. And the fact that the kid looks like a young Eric Bristow. He is a terrible. I can't overstate this enough. The kid is a terrible actor.
You reckon?
He can't even run convincingly.
I mean, to be honest, I thought everything about this film was overwhelmingly poor, so I guess he didn't stand out as
He is he was terrible. He's the worst thing about it. Well, with a better, kid, more endearing kid, it could have been slightly better than it was. Oh, yeah. You've got some very talented people working on this film, right? You've got Stan Winston, you've got Dan O'Bannon, and you've got Tobe Hooper. I mean, all having the biggest off days of their careers, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and then some.
This is this is a really bad film. I was so bored by it.
Yeah, but it feels like the people making it were bored. I was really confused as to what inspired anybody involved to make it or to continue making it. It's such a woozy... It is a shit film. I mean, one of the most interesting things about it is that when it started, I was like, what the fuck is up with those titles? They have those whooshy titles that are... I think
it's trying to be evocative of, of the original.
What I think happened is that by that point they'd already decided they were going to make Superman 4. So someone said to the guy in the titles department, brush up on your whooshy titles.
We got a really big whooshy film.
Yeah, but it is exactly those Superman titles. And I was like, that doesn't seem massively appropriate. Yeah. And it opens... before the scene you mentioned, with a sort of unbelievably sugary and unbelievably phony and unbelievably awkward scene of this family interacting.
Dude, it was so saccharine. I was like,
yeah, and it's badly done and it's phony. And if I was a prosecutor in a court case to finally determine who directed Poltergeist, that would be Exhibit A, because there's nothing that anywhere near that bad. I was watching, it's like, Spielberg directed Poltergeist. Yeah. There's no way that the same person directed scenes in that and the scene. It's the complete polar opposite. Spielberg actually looms quite large over this film because all of his tropes are here. I mean, even the one sort of the primary scene in the school, they're dissecting frogs exactly as they do in E.T. I mean, the number of things where you just think, they must have really, really fucking tried. I bet they tried to get Spielberg somehow on board to direct this fucking absolute dreck. I mean, this film's so bad, I do wonder how good the original was. How good can it have been? The fucking story's whack.
This film lacks any suspense or tension. There's none at all. You never feel that the kid's in danger. You never feel that the aliens as well. I mean, these aliens look like what's the name of the female plant in Little Shop of Horrors?
Oh, right, I know.
It looks like it's got a big mouth.
Yeah.
They've got like little mongoose legs that don't go very fast. I mean, and then you've got the precursor to the baddie in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, Kerrang, yeah.
Yeah, Kerrang.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all just completely lackluster crap.
I thought they looked like critters, kind of like blown up critters. I mean, those sort of aliens would look a lot better if they weren't moving so much. Like they needed to be a bit more. Again, there's a lack of. Yeah, that's what I mean. When they're bobbing along, you just think that's just a guy in a fucking shit outfit. I mean, it's similarly to some moments in Lifeforce. If they were a bit more tactful about how it was edited and shot, I think it might have been a bit better. But I thought it was quite interesting that, in a way, these are both kind of inspired by Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Oh, actually, there's one thing that I do think was funny. Tobe Hooper can't direct actors who are being shaken by the environment. There's a scene in Lifeforce on a chopper where he always says, "Oh, shake!"
No.
The actors start shaking.
And there's a bit where the two guys go down, and they
start, and they're both shaking out of sync.
And the earth moves. It comes through the floor. But the guys going.
It looks really bad.
That would be a decent gif.
But yeah, this turns into a chase film for a bit, and then it's a really, really unbelievably shaky action film towards the end. But everything is routine. Yeah. I watched it just thinking, who's. This is nobody's passion.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was incredibly mundane.
It's really, really just like.
Did you learn anything from this film?
No.
Like, I learned that NASA leases its launch facilities from the US Marine Corps.
Yeah, okay, that's certainly a lesson to be learned. I didn't learn anything.
And I felt like it was an outbreak of Scientology in the beginning. I mean, how his parents are like conversating.
Yeah, right.
Scientology, or they've been prescribed mass doses of Ritalin.
Yeah, right.
And also, I mean, what's meant to make you feel kind of like squirmy and that they've gone really weird is that the mother eats raw beef patty.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's just
rubbish.
Yeah, and then actually in the ending as well. I mean, this film is marketed to be for young children, right? I mean. It's quite a nasty ending.
Yeah. Whose idea was that and why? it doesn't really.
The tone is quite inconsistent from being very schmaltzy and kind of, and then to having an extremely,
It was all a dream, but oh no, it wasn't. And yeah. I was watching it thinking, would I have enjoyed this as a child?
Oh, fucking would not have enjoyed this as a child.
I don't think I would have either.
It was fucking boring. I'd have been bored as a kid. I mean, I'd have remembered. I'd have gone, ugh. Well, not as a kid. I wouldn't have said Nurse Fletcher eating a frog.
Yeah.
But I would have said the frog eating scene would have probably stuck in my mind as a 10-year-old.
Yeah, right.
The rest of it, I'd have been gone, this is guff.
It's yet another film that we've covered where I'm convinced if nostalgia did not exist, there would be no way to see this film.
There is a lot of love for this film.
You're joking.
You look at people's reviews on the IMDb, and it is pages and pages of people pouring praise on this film.
That's surprising. I mean, I honestly believe it's nostalgia. It has to be. I don't know there's no other explanation for it. It's a badly made film. It's a badly conceived idea. The script's bad. The acting is mostly pretty fucking poor. And I just watched it just thinking, who is he? It's like nobody cares. I don't know who cares about what's going on. The only thing that I liked about it is the way they kind of vaguely, spookily they never refer to the crash site. They keep saying, over the hill. Oh, come with us over the hill. Yeah. Which is like,
There's ambiguity.
Yeah. Well, in a nightmare, the most mundane thing, repeat, over the hill. So let's go over the hill. There's something about that I thought was reminiscent of like a ghost story or something like that. I thought that's about, as far as pluses go, that's about it.
Because that's Karen Black and the boy. They are mother and son.
Are they?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's Karen Black's kid. I had no idea. How strange. Yeah, I mean, Tobe Hooper. It's so confusing. He does a dolly zoom once in a scene in the school. It seems like he did it just to try and make it, because everything is shot reverse shot. It's shot in the blandest way possible. It seemed like he thought, I better do something that makes it stand out. Compared to the episode, our last episode when we talked about George Romero, he just had this impassioned desire. You could feel it to tell his story. And I don't know, nobody has any of that kind of passion. And you just think, we're watching. What even are we watching? What the fuck is the point of this?
Looking at the previous episode of George Romero, I mean, he has a very firm stamp on style in terms of context.
Yeah,
you couldn't say to me Lifeforce and Invaders from Mars and go, can you say any similarities in can we do completely different directors? I didn't see any similarity between those two films. How they were directed.
I mean, the thing is that they were directed by Canon Pictures. Golan and Globus were deal makers more, and these are two films that were part of larger deals. I'm sure they don't feel like anybody wanted to make them at any point. I reckon the writers, it's the same writers again. It's Dan O'Bannon and his writing partner Don Jacoby. I would not be surprised to find out that they wrote this in a fucking day or 2 days. I mean, it's such a shoddy, uninteresting, and it just seems like everybody's so uninterested in this script. I mean, this is an unspeakably lousy film. I truly believe without nostalgia there'd be no way you'd be able to find this. It would have been buried.
Right, well, I think it's pretty clean cut.
Well, I mean, I feel bad because Tobe Hooper, we haven't done him the greatest.
We haven't done him the greatest.
I still have never seen
Eaten Alive.
I've never seen Eaten Alive or For the Funhouse. I haven't seen The Mangler. I haven't seen.
I haven't seen The Mangler. But the thing is, I would love to hear from Tobe Hooper fans. I'd love to, we've purposely chosen two films that are fringe and two films that are linked with each other because they're sci-fi films by the Canon. I've seen Funhouse. I wasn't that taken with Funhouse, to be honest.
I've seen bits of those movies, and I'm just. Tobe Hooper is the most confounding of all those masters of horror because even before I saw these two films, I always felt like Tobe Hooper seemed like the kind of guy who'd sold his soul to make possibly the greatest horror film ever made. The thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is it is wall-to-wall directorial choices and flourishes that just fucking floor you. You're just like, this is the directorial debut for the ages. That is in the top 3 best directorial debuts, bar none. Yeah. Possibly, if we were to pull all of those masters of horror, Wes Craven, put all of their films together, I think the best film that any of them ever made was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my favourite horror film of all time.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that close either. It is an unbelievable masterpiece, and it's all Tobe Hooper. It is just the decisions that he makes and the flourishes. And to see these two films, and you just like,
How did the same guy do it?
It's so weird. It's so weird. It's like, but then again, I am inclined to believe that Tobe Hooper feels or felt the way that we did, because his next film after making these two films was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is like him torching everything he's ever done in the most glorious fashion. Yeah. So in a way, it was kind of worth it. But he's a strange figure. I need to go and watch the rest of his films. I think maybe we'll do another. Maybe we should do another 2 Romero films and another 2.
I think what would be really good is to hear from people what you would like us to cover from these two. And we have done fringe. We've purposely gone.
We found 2 things that were very, very closely linked, and I didn't realise you'd seen Lifeforce, but I thought we hadn't seen them, so I thought they would be a good pairing. But in terms of picking which one's which, I think we've made it blatantly obvious. But even if I wasn't as unimpressed with Invaders from Mars as I am, you can't tell the story of Cannon without Lifeforce. It's an integral part of that story. And this Invaders from Mars is not even a worthwhile footnote. And I think even that documentary about Cannon, I think they ignored it. No, they ignored it because it's irrelevant.
There's no footage of Invaders from Mars.
No, because why would you? It's an irrelevant film in their history. It deserves to be completely forgotten. It's nothing. So I mean, in terms of which one's better, it's Lifeforce by a million miles. But
it's one of the clearest kind of. It's a chasm. In terms of all the films we've been doing since doing this podcast, this is there is starchings, there's open and shut cases, but Invaders from Mars is a horrifically weak offering.
It's a standard issue kids movie made by people who don't have any interest in anything.
Yeah, but I just found what I found so confounding about it is that there's so many talented people working on it.
I don't know. I mean, it's a mystery. It needs to go away. Nobody needs to see that movie. Lifeforce, if you're patient and you're sort of fond of very, very eccentric blockbusters, that's as eccentric as they fucking get. The winner is Lifeforce by Mark.
That's it. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. But check out all of our social media things for updates and whatnot. All of our episodes are cut to footage on YouTube. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. But thanks for listening. See you later.
God bless.
Hack it.